this philosophy that good programmers are lazy. We put in a lot of work, but what it means is now, if we can go pull a JSON file from a database somewhere, we don't have to do anything. It'll do it automatically. We just attach the file and it goes in and prints out the entire list. We have put in a lot of work one time so that we never have to do that thing again, which is a mark of a good programmer, right? I'm willing to put in that work that one time, do everything I need to so that it just runs smoothly from then on out. And I think that's a good philosophy. So our last little step here, now by the way, this is, for me at least, I'm a simple man. This starts to get kind of complicated as I think through it. And I've done my best to explain it in a clear way, so hopefully it's making sense. But man, it took me, quite a bit to understand what was happening in this process as I was learning it. And so I've tried to describe it in a way that I would want somebody to explain it to me for the first time. And so hopefully it's landed and it's made sense. But there is a steep learning curve. We're going to get more and more complicated as we add in more TSX files, and we pass information back and forth, and we use React components, and we set state and use state, and but it's all really cool. This is the best programming minds putting together what is the way that we can make this website be as fast as humanly possible. And so it's a great technology, great programming language to be able to do that. So anyway, last thing is to just how do we get this up to GitHub? And so we want to go to our source control, which we can do by clicking on the source control tab. I got to remember which one it is here, this one. So this little sign here is our source control. And we don't have anything there yet, and so we want to initialize our repository. Obviously, if we need to install Git, we need to install Git. But I've got Git installed on this machine, and so it says, do you want to create a repository? It's creating one called test app. Now notice that's not the front end folder. Eventually, we're going to be able to see the files from both our back end and our front end in the VS Code here. But we also want them to be together. It'll make our lives easier as we're working with them if they're together on GitHub as well. And so I'm going to, it shows all the changes here. I have to type in a message just like I always do with commit, and I can just say the initial commit, which I should have done a long time ago, by the way. As you're working on stuff, you want to make this repository early and then reap the benefits of having a repository as you commit along the way. But I'll go ahead and commit this. And it says there's no stage changes. Would you like to stage all your changes and commit them? And the answer is yes, I would. Actually, I don't know if I want to say always or not. I probably do, but I'm going to say yes for now. Which will commit those locally. And then the next option is, do I want to publish this branch? Do I want to get up to GitHub? And so I click on publish branch, and it'll say, do you want to publish to a private repository or a public repository? In our case, we want to publish them to a public repository. And so it publishes that branch up to a repository, and I must already be signed in on this setup that I have to record here, because it's not asking me. Usually it would ask you username and password, and you have to sign in. But once you've signed into GitHub on your machine, then there's a Git file that's stored under your user on a Windows machine, at least. If you go into this PC and users, then at that level, I think there's a Git file that's stored that contains all that information about your login that's used for any app that you're using for Git. All right. Usually does not take this long. Is this a progress bar? Oh, I did not talk about that, and I should have. One of the reasons this is taking so long is because it's committing everything, and there's a folder on our files called node modules. And man, I should have done this before, but this is a good lesson to learn while we're in the midst of it. So this node modules folder has a ton of different files, and it's a huge folder. And so we typically don't want to include this one because it makes it really big and really slow to upload to GitHub, which is what's happening here. Almost like I did this on purpose. And so what we want to do is in our git ignore file, we want to add in, oh, it already has an entry for node modules. Interesting. If it's not there, then we want to add in our node modules, which means that if you were to download somebody else's project to get it to run, we'd need to have those in there. So you run an npm install, which would go bring in any supporting files that are needed, and include those node modules on the individual machine, but then they don't have to be as part of the process of the regular commits and pushes up to GitHub. Then you wouldn't need to worry about that. So I don't know if there's an error or what. I don't know what's happening with my publishing to GitHub, because I do have node modules in there as by default, and hopefully yours is the same way, to ignore those files. Don't upload those files. But it still sure looks like it's going. This was going to be a short video. All right, maybe I'll pause. I hope yours is not doing the same thing. And I'm supposed to have a fast internet connection, but it was slow the other day. I should have tested this. My upload speeds were super slow, so I should have fixed that before attempting this. All right, I'll pause for a moment. Well, there's your problem, by the way. I'm getting a 900 megabit download, and a 1.61 megabit upload. So obviously I have something to solve, but hopefully yours is not taking the same amount of time. Pausing again. All right, so I'm just going to show you. I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but I was just trying to figure out. It's been 15 plus minutes, coming about 20 minutes to publish this thing, which is unusual. And so I enlisted the help of AI and went in and looked, and it wanted me to go track to see if there were large files being uploaded. It said, make sure your git ignore is configured properly. I sent it a picture. It said, yeah, it looks like it's all configured properly. So open up terminal and try running in this command. So I had to get into the right directory, and then I ran this command, and as soon as I ran this command, it stopped. And so I don't, this is supposed to tell you which large files are being uploaded, and then there are a number of commands you can do to go clean it up. And so I'm not exactly sure, but as soon as I ran this, it stopped. So I was just going to show you that. But anyway, now we're published up on GitHub. And anytime we make a change, obviously, if we add in whatever, if we add in if we take out the image because we don't actually have one, then that's going to be a change that's been made. As soon as I save that, then it's going to show that there was a change made to app tsx, and I can say removed image and commit. And would you like to stage the changes? I think I want to say always on this. I always want to stage the changes. And then it says, do you want to sync your changes? Pull down from GitHub, push up to GitHub. And so I can say okay on that. Now what's going to be interesting to me is, does this take a long time as well? Or does it go fast? And it looks like it just went fast, which is what we want. So anyway, if you need help, obviously let me know. But that's the push to GitHub, so we can submit assignments and whatever else we need to do. That's the process. So okay, that's our little taste of React, and going forward we're going to get into more detail about how the ins and outs of state and how that works in React, and what makes it as good and as fast as it is. All right, Spencer, out.